Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you're listening from, wherever you're watching from. We're listening on your favorite podcast platform, Amazon, Apple Podcasts, and the others. You know them. You know, it's International Women's Day had passed on March 8th, right? 2022, we're in now. And what happened is that the celebration of women continues. A lot of people didn't know, but we are really celebrating what they call the month of Women History Month. Sorry, and it's an extension of the Women's Day celebration, and I welcome that. It's always important to celebrate our women, and this month is the month of women, history of women, and we continue the process, continuing my series of challenge women, the voices of challenge women. This is part two, and I have with me a guest who was on part one, and I have not talked to her as an individual before, and I brought her back to talk about her challenges, her challenge in them, and women who are in their 30s and above would not want to miss this episode because it's very important as your life changes and you tend to be experiencing issues with your female health issues, that is. And we'll talk more about that. Men, you don't want to miss this either, because I have a surprise for you. Something many men don't know, right? And I need to say it throughout the course of this episode, talk a bit about it and see how much my guest, Eileen Franco, will be able to mention more on that. But I'm going to let Ellen into the groove. Ellen, how you, how you doing? Welcome back to Canute Exploration, your topic in the podcast. I'm Dr. Canute White. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, Dr. White. Thank you for having me back on your show. So happy to be here and share my story.
Yeah, definitely. But I'm gonna start off with something
Yes.
that I always start my guests off with. Your childhood. Tell me about your childhood. Tell me a little of the struggle you went through as a child. All of us, most of us, had gone through a bit of struggle. What your childhood was like.
Well, my childhood was kind of very challenging because I felt that there was a back in the culture of the Dominican culture, parents tend to, back in the day, not of course that's happening today, but back in the day, communicate very little with their children. So I struggled a lot with the lack of communication from my home, from my parents. And so I was very much within to myself. I kept things to myself. I didn't speak that much. And I was really kind of shy back when I was younger, and used to hang out with one friend really, and
Okay.
we just always played parcheesi and had grilled cheese sandwiches. I remember having those walk to school back and from school, talking to him, and we would fight all the time. But there were happy moments, those were happy moments. I used to go to church and have girlfriends that would go to church. And I really enjoyed that part of growing up. And we were really also very close with family. So I would see my grandmother every week. So that was always a joy when grandma used to visit us.
Oh, great, great. I love that. And then you're on part one of this series with the other ladies, Natasha, Melanie, and Stephanie. And I, I bring you in now because I didn't get to talk with you as an individual. And I'd want you to express your challenge, especially as it relates to the menopausal episode. And can you tell us more about that challenge that you have had or still having as it relates to the menopausal episode?
Yes, absolutely. Completely changed my life. Back in 2019, I had applied for a new role, and in a session with my career ladder in the corporate world, I was given a new position as a program manager at the time. but my body at the same time had transitioned into perimenopause. And there is in multiple symptoms, over 40 symptoms that a woman can experience during this transition. And for me, it created daily havoc in my life, not only personal, but at work as well. It was hard for me to concentrate. Everything that I knew up until that point became like I didn't know it. I was totally confused all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And it's like everything that I've done for over 10, 13 years, all of a sudden was out the window because I had a lot of brain fog. I couldn't concentrate. I couldn't focus, and I wasn't sleeping.
Hmm.
For the prior to 2019, I was already experiencing symptoms that I did not know, but I
Okay.
now know due to hindsight. And that was not sleeping, full night's sleep, waking up in the middle of the night. So when I transitioned over, it just was more of health issue for me. It started breaking my health down,
Oh.
and eventually I had a health breakdown and ended up in short-term disability a
Yeah.
couple of months later. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. You know, this thing about menopause, many persons really do not know what this is. Do not have a definition for this. But I've done my research. But definitely, and I I realize that there is really a definition for this menopause thing, and I get to understand it's really a sort of a cessation of the menstrual due to a number of things. What is your personal definition of it, of
My
menopause?
personal definition of that, Dr. White, is really that your reproductive system is passing the baton to the adrenals to now create the sex hormones that women need to have a balanced body. And in that transition, it's a huge transition that is happening in the body. And as the body is passing this on to the adrenals, there's a lot of things that comes into factor or contribute to all the ailments that we experience during that transition. So for me, it's a passing of the baton,
Okay.
a decrease of progesterone and estrogen, especially estrogen being our main hormone that
Yeah.
creates a roller coaster ride for us.
Yeah, you mentioned something about perimenopause, and I have realized that the onset of menopause could be between 45 and 55. However, women in their 30s, perhaps late 30s, that's before 40s, naturally, who could experience what the experts call premature menopause, and with early stages of menopause happening 41 to 45. Talk to me about the onset. When was that for you, and what are some of the challenges that women face during the menopausal stage?
Yeah, so what happens is, Dr. White, is that the average age for women to start transitioning could be from 40 plus. But it can happen in mid early 30s, and it all has to do with DNA, family history, how many eggs you have. When your body decides to, that's it, it's enough, I'm not going to produce no more eggs. So women start experiencing that transition in multitude of ways. You can experience that with headaches, not sleeping, gaining weight, unexplained gain weight, which is the number one pain point for women. And that was one of my first challenges. In 2017, I was having unexplained gain weight, and I couldn't understand where it was coming from because I was eating healthy and working out,
Yeah.
and I thought that was enough, but eventually it turned out that it wasn't. But there's also lack of sleep, there's hot flashes, and I experienced all these challenges, sweating constantly, the hot flashes at night as well. It was very difficult to have a full night's sleep. There's the headache, there's the moodiness, there's multitude, and I had a lot of those experienced at the same time.
Yeah. You talk about perimenopause. What's that? What's the difference there?
Okay, so there is a difference, Dr. White. Thank you for asking. So, see, perimenopause is when women, average age from 40 on, can start to transition. There's
Okay.
three phases in total: perimenopause, which is from 40 plus average, and then menopause, which is usually from 50 plus, and then postmenopause, which is after menopause. So, what happens is, Dr. White, that when you're in menopause, the stages overlap with one another.
Okay.
And you perimenopause can last for a year, 4 years, 10 years. It
Oh.
depends. And then you're in menopause when a woman's menses stops for a year. If your menses stops for a full year, then that's it. You're in menopause. And then shortly after, you're in postmenopause. But premenopause, the one you mentioned,
Yeah.
this happens when there is really something else going on in the body.
Okay.
Usually, some women experience this due to trauma or because their eggs have stopped, the body has stopped producing eggs, an emotional impact, traumatic events to the body. And that's when your body kicks in into premenopause. Or I've known of women that went into premenopause because they had an accident.
Okay.
This is how
Oh.
delicate it is.
Hmm. So you're saying to me then, to my audience, that a woman who is perhaps in her mid 30s can go into this premature, let's go there, menopause because of an accident or something that create a medical change within her body.
There's the potential, yes.
Oh.
There's one case, Dr. Anna Kabeka. She's a functional medicine doctor, and she's well known for helping. She's well known for the hormone fix,
Mhm.
and she went into premature menopause when she experienced the loss of her child.
Wow.
And when she went to the doctors has said that she was no longer going to be able to have children because she was in menopause. And it was that emotional traumatic event that she experienced
Mhm.
that put her body into a menopause state. But she was able to reverse it. Her story is amazing, and she has
Yeah.
touched the lives of many women.
Yeah. This is Canute Exploration. I am Dr. Canute White. Those listening on their favorite podcast platform, those watching on our YouTube channel, Canute Media, welcome. Ellen, this thing, about the challenges that women face during the menopausal stage. It's important for men to know as well. And I
Absolutely.
before I tell the men what I would want to say to them that would perhaps surprise them. Let us look at some of the challenges, the symptoms that women have when they're going through menopausal stages.
Well, there's plenty of them, Dr. White.
Yeah.
I'm going to list off the top ones that are experienced. Yes, the hot flashes, the night sweats, and this makes a woman very uncomfortable because you feel like you're burning from the inside out,
Mhm.
and nothing, not even a shower, can help you because it's happened to me.
Mhm.
There is the moodiness that comes with the menses coming and going, that it's not no longer regular.
Mhm.
So that's irritability. You could, one minute, you don't know what's going to happen the next, you know?
Mhm.
There's, of course, the reduced libido. There is, there we experience a reduction in progesterone. And when estrogen starts to decline, that
Mhm.
as well contributes to our hormones not being balanced. So our libido is greatly affected by it. And, but there are ways to overturn that. So there is hope. Disrupted sleep patterns for sure is one that I experience, and many women wake up in the middle of the night with racing thoughts and anxiety, feeling that their future is uncertain. They feel like they're in an alien body. It's really,
Yeah.
really, it's really decapitating, if you will, or debilitating is the word I'm looking for. It
Right.
really debilitates us, and it really takes our well-being takes a turn for the worse.
Dry skin. I saw that one.
Yes.
Dry skin. I mean, how that becomes a part of the whole symptomatic experience of women going through menopausal stages.
Yes, absolutely. Your skin tends to dry. Again, the main sex hormone is estrogen, and that hormone really does a lot for us. And a lot of women are happy when they don't have their menses, but I be honest with
Yeah,
you, I didn't want my menses to go because
yeah, yeah,
I knew of the effects that the lack of estrogen has in our body because
yeah,
our body starts to dry out. Estrogen also protects us from heart diseases, from strokes, cancer. So it's a huge, huge change. Our
yeah.
our internal, our internal, how you say, makeup is totally being revamped,
Mhm, mhm.
and it does affect our skin greatly.
Yeah. Men, we may go through something similar. There's a thing called andropause, right?
Yes,
And it's really, the gradual but progressive um, decline in the serum, testosterone. Why,
yes.
as we age, this muscle atrophy and other symptoms. So some men actually have their own version of this thing, right? It tells me then that women, we have to be very, very sympathetic of women if there's such a way for us to react, to respond. But we need to understand that what women are going through, we have our own version of that andropause, right? So we need to protect, support our women as they go through this challenge. Are you seeing this sort of a discrimination against women, the sort of a bias as we break the bias on the international women day, we continue to break the bias against women struggling with things like these? Are you seeing any discrimination as you go along?
Yes, Dr. White, there has been several. There's still a stigma that exists in society. At a society level, there's a stigma against women going through menopause. In a recent article from the UK that I was reading, a particular woman's story, she was being mocked at because she was forgetting things. Like I said,
Yeah,
you experience a lot of brain fog, mental, you're not clear, lack of
yeah.
concentration, and women are being mocked at in this particular study.
Yeah.
Also, there's not support in the workplace for women that are going through this
Oh.
transition, which is a big thing for me and one that I
Mm,
want to be able to go into organization and educate on because there's no support for women. It's the belief that, oh, she's at the end of her life, she's no longer necessary, but that's totally not true and valid. And many women tend to believe that, so they keep their symptoms to themselves and they struggle through it. I'll tell you something, Dr. White,
yeah.
that in the UK alone, in back in 2019, there was a study done, a research done, and 900,000 women resigned from their jobs due to menopausal
Oh
symptoms.
yeah. Wow.
Yes, it's really staggering and it's a disturbing outcome. And on a personal level, I do
Yeah.
see in most of the forums that I've participated, I've seen women say that, oh, my boyfriend walked out on me.
Yeah.
He doesn't understand, or my husband doesn't understand me. So yes, there's a lot of education that we need to still impart to our community and society at large.
Yeah. Later on, I'm gonna be talking about your business. I know it actually aligned to this. But
Yes.
as you talk, I reflected on this disability thing, the American Disability Act, and so on. And you have alluded to the fact, that there's no accommodation in organization for women with menopausal challenges. Is it that we could say menopausal challenges is a form of quote unquote disability that comes naturally? Can we say that?
Um, we can, it is a natural process. It
Yeah,
definitely is. And, like I always tell my clients, menopause is an natural, it's
yeah,
not optional, but
right.
suffering through it is optional. it does disable the women if they don't
Yeah,
do nothing about it.
yeah,
But it
yeah,
doesn't necessarily have to lead to disability like it did to me.
yeah,
It was that I didn't know any better at the time of what I could do and the support my body needed and how I needed to change my life completely in order to now make way for this new phase. And I think there's a lot of women that don't, there was a study done, and many women, I think there was over 75% that didn't know the difference of what was going on until they got the symptoms. And that's
mm,
one of my reasons for spreading this message on perimenopause. You can, have a smoother transition. The earlier you start, the better.
yeah, yeah. Before I go into some question, and I know it will be cheerful readiness for you to answer this thing about the discrimination against mature and menopausal women. And I have done some research and realized that it appears to sit quietly. It's like the elephant in the room. No one wants to talk about it, and
Yes,
if it continues to go unnoticed, it will
yes.
perhaps be accepted. I'm going to ask your view on that. And it it manifests itself in all areas of life. What's your view on the fact that if it sits quietly like the elephant in the room, it will become a norm? Are you seeing the norm happening here, or are you seeing that pending? You know,
I see it pending, Dr. White, because there's a lot of women now that are speaking up against it and going into organizations. And I mean, there's a lot of work, a lot of legwork to be
yeah,
done to raise awareness in organization. But I believe it's getting into the workplaces in the organization to be able to help this, because it's the big elephant in the room that
yeah,
people don't
yeah,
want to address. And quite frankly, there are benefits for women going on a maternity leave and family leave. This should be something that organizations should be able to support as well, because it is a huge transition. And it does create havoc for a woman life, some more than others, but for the majority of women it does.
yeah, yeah. It's really something that I am now learning a lot about. Many
Yes.
men, many women too. Can you imagine that really need this sort of education? We talk about education, educating men, educating leaders, organizational leaders, so that they understand. And Ellen, a lot of women who are mature, who are not educated, not academically. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I am saying that they would perhaps do a number of jobs, and they all right, look at it this way: women who work in the domestic situation, right, as domestic helpers, they even the women, I would want to think, who might have been going through that, would not be so supportive of these employees. You see what I'm saying? Are you hearing that? I mean, the employer is a woman, and I've gone through it, but they're not supportive of the employer.
I've read that, Dr. White. Yes, in all the articles, in several articles that I've read,
Okay.
specifically, there's a lot more done in the UK than in the US, and that's where I'm finding my information. There has been reports that even women that are leaders in the organization are not aware when a woman is going through these
Yeah.
changes,
Yeah.
and therefore women are not speaking about it because again, women feel shame. There's that
Yeah.
stigma, that taboo that exists, and especially if there's a male leader, they
Yeah.
don't want to talk to men. But
Yeah.
when it's a women, I think that women leaders need to be more aware because they themselves are know what
Yeah.
that is like, or will be knowing what that is like, and
Yeah.
they should be creating change in their organizations to help these women. Yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, and that is what we talk about accommodation and so on, right?
Yes.
In organizations and in the home where you have domestic helpers and so on. And again, men, we need to understand the challenges. As I've said to you, men, that we have a thing called andropause, that we will eventually, be affected by those persons who have not been affected by it. It's coming to us, and we should ensure that we take care of the women who are going through the counterpart menopause. And Ellen, what is the actual fatigue, and how does this affect the menstrual woman?
Well, that was one of my diagnoses, and that's what's
Okay.
one of the things that led to my disability, adrenal fatigue. And this is what's happening, Dr. White. As the baton is being passed to the adrenals now have the job of creating sex hormones, but based on your lifestyle and your stress level, you can be having an overproduction of cortisol. This
Mm.
is part of the HPA axis, which is the hypothalamus pituitary gland. I call that the hormone command center, if you will, to make it
Right.
easier. And
Hmm.
from there, that there's that overproduction of cortisol. If you're a woman that is constantly on the go, because unfortunately, our society tends to think that being busy equates to being successful. And
Hmm.
that's not necessarily the case. You're not being successful. And sometimes it has to do with your own self esteem in trying to give that perception that you're, of busy when in reality, you're really just hurting yourself.
Yeah. Mm.
um, the overproduction of cortisol, what happens is the adrenal then starts overproducing cortisol. If you're always on the go, 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 you have
Yeah.
poor diet choices. You don't say no, you're overwhelmed, right? So that's what leads to adrenal fatigue because now it has the job of creating the sex hormones plus your lifestyle, your stress level
Yeah.
that would eventually take you. And with menopause in the mix, you're going to experience the
Wow.
symptoms that much more intense in frequency like I did.
Yeah, adrenal fatigue. That's it. And that is why organizational leaders need to understand this because it's one thing about absenteeism in organization and the presenteeism as well. Because you can be present and yet still, because of these challenges, you are not really performing, right? So organizational leaders need to understand the challenges that women are going through, will be going through, because it's a natural process during the menopausal process. What are the top three lifestyle changes women must implement to thrive during this sort of a challenge that they're
Oh,
having?
yes, absolutely. I've in my own journey, I was able to identify three things that are really critical for women to start addressing sooner rather than later. And the first one has to do with toxicity. Having a high toxic load in the body equals cellular inflammation. In order to be able to overturn our well-being around and take control of our health and overcome these symptoms, we must reduce the toxins in our body. And
Mm.
that requires a complete lifestyle change. You have to really think about this. Dr. White, your coffee cup lid has toxins, and every time you
Yeah,
drink coffee, you're ingesting that.
yeah.
When you're in perimenopause, menopause, postmenopause, whatever phase, that is going to exacerbate the symptoms even more because you're
Wow.
ingesting toxins. So you have to release toxins from the body. You also have to reduce stress because stress is the underlying cause of cortisol and the lack and the your reason why you're not losing weight because it also if cortisol is high, your insulin levels are high as well. So that
Mm.
means leptin is high too. So it's just like a snowball effect.
Right.
If
Mm.
one hormone is out of balance, it really gonna affect all your other hormones in a hierarchy that does exist, Dr. White,
Yeah,
and that women need to be able to know that this is important too, because really it's about managing hormones at this point.
yeah,
And the
yeah,
third thing is your diet. If you go by the standard American diet here in the
yeah,
USA, eating the simple carbs, refined foods, the junk food, the fried foods, the cookies and crackers, sugar loaded,
yeah, yeah.
you're really not doing your health any good, and it's not going to help you to overcome your symptoms and feel yourself again. It really is just going to create. And in addition to that, in your food, you have to think about the oils that you're ingesting as well. There are
Okay.
oils that causes inflammation. Dr. White, it's really about eating the healthy foods that lowers inflammation and gives you the support your body needs.
Yeah. Yeah, you have mentioned three things, but it seems remote. All of those three things seems remote for a woman. And what happened? I mean, women may want to say to us, when they're watching this episode that, hey, what is Ellen talking about? It's remote. I cannot deal with this. Talk to them.
What do you mean about the changes? Well, you start
No,
with
no, not the changes. The lifestyle that they need to. Yeah, the
oh, their
lifestyle changes.
lifestyle.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely, Dr. White. I mean, the lifestyle you had up until you started transitioning or feeling changes or the symptoms no longer serves you. And as much as we don't want to change our lifestyle, we're going to have to, because unless you want to suffer through that. I mean, there was a study that came out, and there was 75% of women not treating their symptoms.
Okay.
But imagine this, Dr. White. Forbes predicted that by 2025, 1.1 billion women would be in menopause. Can you imagine 75% of women not treating their symptoms?
Yeah,
What is going to happen to their livelihoods, their life, their family life, themselves, their health? It really is important to address it, because if you ignore the symptoms, you are going to have other health issues that are going to arise from that.
yeah. And you know, I'm an organizational behaviorist, and I look at organization a lot. So what you're saying, it's really important because organizations will also be affected. Women, I don't have the stats now, but they make up a large percentage of organizations. And hey, if they're not able to perform, the organization in terms of labor production is going to be affected. So it's everybody's business, right?
Yes, I believe it's over 50% that women make up
Okay,
the workforce. Dr. White, last I checked, over 50% of
right.
the workforce. So it's a large number of women that are out there, and that
Yeah.
is going to affect plenty.
That's important.
Yes.
So this is Canute Exploration. I'm Dr. Canute White talking about menopausal stages. I know women go through that, the challenges and overcome it, because it's about overcoming the voices of women. And Ellen is with me. She represents the voices of many women going through the menopausal stage of their life, and women who will be going through. So those who are 20 to, in their 20s and early 30s, remember it's going to happen. It's a natural process of life. And men, we go through a thing called andropause, right? Don't forget that. So support our women. Look, Ellen, what detox strategies are available that reduces this cellular inflammation that may present itself?
There are several of them, Dr. White, and one of them, is very controversial for a lot of people, but it was a lifesaver for me, and one that I employ with my clients to see ultimate results. And the first one that I recommend, and it's being recommended in the functional medicine world, is fasting.
Okay.
Fasting has it's there's been numerous of studies done by the New England Journal Medicine. I can't say it. I'm sorry, Dr. White.
That's all right.
But there's been a lot of studies, scientific studies done on the benefits of fasting for women, for people in general, not only women. In
Right.
general, it does.
Yeah.
It does the cell reproduction. It increases human growth hormones production. It reduces, it cleans your cells. It helps with mental clarity.
Hmm.
It really is one of the amazing and most fastest efficient way to reduce cellular inflammation. But you also have
Okay.
healing foods as well.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm gonna go into those foods, eventually. But if a lady, a woman, wants to start fasting, where does she begin?
Well, you begin with intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting is where you start at least fasting for 12. Intermittent fasting is considered between 13 and 15 hours, right? So you can start with 12 hours for a week, and then until your body adapts, drinking water, black coffee with no sugar or cream or milk or anything, just black coffee and tea. And then after a week, you increase that to 13 hours. And then you keep going until you reach a point where you feel comfortable But there are many types of fasts that are have different purposes, Dr. White.
Yeah.
That's to begin intermittent fasting, again considered between 13 to 15 hours, to be able to reduce as well inflammation in your cells. Our since our founding fathers or hunter gatherer age, there
Yeah.
was such a thing as feast and famine, and they went plenty of days without eating. Right,
Yeah.
they were hungry, but then they
Yeah.
feasted, and they were much healthier than us back in the day.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. You know, I grew up in Jamaica, right? And when when I was younger, small, child, I used to eat, dumplings, right? Yeah, well, dumplings,
Yes,
that's right,
yes,
right?
yes, yes.
We used to eat like 10, 15 dumplings in a bowl of soup. We eat a lot. But I'm saying this to say that fasting is very healthy. That's
Yes,
what you're saying
yes.
because yeah, it can be healthy.
It's very healthy. It's been very beneficial. It lowers blood sugar levels, Dr. White. Um, if you're insulin resistant, it kicks you out of insulin resistant. And fasting has even been known. There's, um, I can't remember the doctor's name at the moment. It escapes me. But the guide to intermittent fasting, the author of that guide, let me see if I find his name.
Yeah.
He has been able to reverse diabetes with
Okay.
fasting, and it has been a fantastic way for people to be kicked out of insulin resistance.
Wow.
Dr. Jason Fung
Oh,
and
okay.
the complete guide to intermittent to fasting, that's a great resource to start looking at. I mean, he has reversed diabetes type 2 with
Mm,
intermittent with fasting, so it is
wow.
beneficial all around, Dr. White.
Yeah. You see, that's important. Food to avoid. I found a list here of
Ah,
food,
yes, yes.
of food not to eat, and yeah, and food to eat. It's what's your take? Even though I have that up on the screen, those persons watching can see. What's your take on food to avoid?
Definitely, you want to be able to. The foods to avoid is the standard American diet, which is comprised of simple carbs, carbs that really don't do you any good. One of them, particularly, it was talked about in the functional medicine world, and research shows that whole wheat is causes inflammation. So you got to be careful with your breads and the oils that you're ingesting. Basically, you want to be able to have the healthy oils, which is avocado, coconut, and olive oils, to be able to in your foods, right? The
Mm,
any other oils is not good. Soy is a controversial item, Dr. White, because
yeah.
soy people, I have seen great results, but the only way it's recommended it's if it's organic, not genetically
Okay.
modified or created. Soy has to be something that's organic in order for it to be beneficial. But yes, you have to have a diet that is rich in leafy greens, in cruciferous fruits, in natural fruits, of course, not so much ones with high sugar content initially,
Right.
until you kick yourself out of until your body gets out of insulin resistant, because it has been shown, Dr. White, that insulin resistant is the precursor to Alzheimer's and dementia.
Yeah. Okay. Hmm.
So, it's all related, Dr. White,
Yeah.
and the foods that we eat. I totally agree with what you have there. Food
Yeah.
can either make us or be our slowest poison.
Right. I'm seeing sweets here. I mean, hey, especially those late 30s who would be going through the premature menopause stage. I
Yes.
don't. They're not. They would not want to avoid donuts and muffins and I mean
You
those in their 50s. I
But it's
mean,
possible, Dr. White, to be so this is what's happening with sugar. Sugar really causes inflammation,
yeah.
and it has been known to camouflage, the current pandemic, there was a big thing of telling people to get off sugar because it
Oh yeah.
camouflaged the virus.
Right.
So, but there are alternatives. There are plenty alternatives to sweet. Monk fruit is a fantastic natural sweetener that has no calories, does not increase your blood sugar level, and it's great. And of course there's keto muffins that you can create.
Yeah.
Now there we have seen a big um change in the nutrition world
Okay.
where a lot of them are
Yeah.
switching these recipes that were created with using items that is not healthy for us for more healthier options.
Okay. I got you. I got you. I will talk about healthier options. Let's look at the wellness areas that women need to look at during this natural change going into menopause.
Yes, well, you see, there are several areas that women need to keep top of mind, Dr. White, and that's really is you need to detox, which I mentioned. You
Yeah.
need to change your diet, and you need to address stress, but you also need to support your adrenals now more than ever because they're the ones that are producing your sex hormones now.
Right.
You need to be able to balance your hormones through supporting your body through cellular health, right? Your skincare. So skincare is a big thing, Dr. White, because you
Yeah.
know what? A lot of us women, we love to put on those creams and products and all that
Yeah.
stuff.
Definitely.
But you know what? They are all toxic and contain toxins that are being ingested into our bodies.
Yeah.
So we
Oh.
need to change to a skincare that is more organic and that is organic, that it's vegan, that it's less toxicity to the body because that contributes also to your symptoms. You also need to improve your sleep. Sleep is very important because
Yeah.
during sleep is when our body detoxes, is when our body recharges the neurons, is when our body
Mhm.
cleanses the cells, especially if you're fasting. You,
Yeah.
you definitely need to take care of your major organs and detox them, and specifically your brain, of course, for mental
Okay.
clarity, but your
Right.
liver. If you don't
Mm.
detox your liver, see, estrogen is broken down in your liver. And if your liver is sluggish, when estrogen is broken down, Dr. White,
Yeah.
there's one of them that is toxic and causes cancer. And if it's
Okay.
sluggish and it's not expelled by the body, it is stored in our fat cells. So,
Mm.
see, the plenty of areas, the liver is major as well as your digestion, your microbiome, because
Yeah.
that area as well is where estrogen is broken down too. And it's
Mhm.
considered your second immune system, right? It's always communicating with
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
brain. So those are the areas that I usually have my clients focus on is over 12 areas to keep top of mind to be able to bring back the body into balance and come back healthier and stronger.
Right. This is Canute Exploration. I'm Dr. Canute White sitting in with Eileen Franco. You know, we're talking about this menstrual, sorry, this menopausal menopausal challenge because I know that it affects the menstrual cycle, but the menopausal period of your life, and women, you will be facing this. It's a natural process, and I'm going to be talking to Ellen now about her company, Radiant Wellness Company. Talk to us about your company and how it fits into all of this menopausal episode, in helping women.
Yeah, so let me just say that CO is for coaching. I just couldn't spell
Oh,
it out. It's okay, no worries.
yeah, those of you who are not seeing, right? You are
Yeah,
listening on your favorite podcast platform. I
yeah,
see that CEO, so I figured that. So it's really Radiant Wellness Coaching.
yes.
All
It's
right.
Radiant Wellness Coaching. And thank you, Dr. White, for asking me that. I just wanted to mention one other area that women should also look to do is movement and exercise, which is helpful.
Right.
But Radiant Wellness, all those areas that I spoke about, right? I'm in the business of helping business women because it happened to me during work and I experienced a health breakdown ending in short-term disability in solving their challenges with perimenopause and menopause. And that really means taking them through a holistic program as a certified holistic wellness coach that I became because I had to reclaim my health
Yeah,
and
yeah,
also to go out there and help other women not
yeah.
experience what I did. It's a
Mhm.
holistic approach that you need to take in order to bring your body back into balance because Dr. White,
Yeah,
if one area is out of whack, it's going to impact others. And as we spoke about previously, there is a snowball effect, right?
yeah.
So these are areas that are important for women to keep top of mind and really have a lot of self care. And I coach them through how to do this, how to detox their body, how to reduce inflammation, how to lose the weight, because that's their number one pain point,
Oh yeah,
to lose the weight because we gain, and we don't know where it's coming from, but
yeah.
we know there's an underlying cause. So I educate women on those underlying causes and I walk them, I talk them through, I teach them the strategies, the natural strategies and tools, and we implement them. And I'm there with them along the way to help them through that journey.
Mm, interesting, interesting.
Mhm.
I love that. We're gonna talk to some folks now, Ellen. Starting with that woman watching, saying, "Hey, I am just 32. I'm young. So why should I be concerned about this menopausal thing at this stage of my life?" Talk to that female.
Well, I think you definitely want to be, you don't want to be surprised by it. Many women were surprised by the symptoms like me because I mean, I knew of menopause, but you go through life thinking that it's not going to affect you until you actually go through it. And having awareness is one of the best ways for you to be able to prepare for it. Is the first thing. Being aware of what is menopause and what your body may go through. You are young, you're healthy now, but implementing practices, healthier practices now before you get there will help to ensure a smoother transition for your body because your body will already be supported enough for it to transition. And this is not to say that you may not experience some of the symptoms, but you may not experience it as bad as many of us women that have not prepared have gone through. And you will prevent having to deal, like myself, with a potential health breakdown, with probably your work, having to change careers, or as I've mentioned before, 900,000 women in the UK left their jobs. So you want to really be prepared for it. The more the better, and the sooner the better, and start eating healthier, implementing practices that will support your body for that transition.
Great. So that was to those young females, perhaps late 20s, early 30s, that say, "Hey, why am I concerned about this now?" I want you now to talk to those ladies who are actually going through. Just talk personally to that lady watching, saying, "Hey, I'm going through this." Just give her
Yeah,
that encouragement.
yeah, my heart goes out to them because I know what is there. I've been there. I know what you feel. I know that you feel you're in an alien body. Many women, if not yourself, hate their bodies, and that's really sad. It breaks my heart because there really is alternative natural solutions that you can do. Please don't lose hope. I know that there is medication that you can take, but I don't advocate that medication because it really increases your risk of other diseases. I advocate for natural solutions. There have been plenty, thousands of women that have overturned their well being. So don't lose hope. There are people like us that are out there helping women naturally to reclaim their health and turn their health and well-being around, and it's possible for you to feel your amazing self again. It is possible if you give yourself the love that your body needs. It's all about self-love and self-care. Now that you're going through this transition, you got to keep yourself top of mind. You are no longer on the back burner. You really have to put yourself first and seek out the help that you need from natural practitioners or certified holistic wellness coach as myself to help you and give you everything you need so that you can leverage that for the rest of your life and get your life back.
I want you to talk two other categories of people. But first, the men who are in relationship with these women who are going through menopausal crisis. Talk to those men. That man watching, who his wife, girlfriend, is going through that sort of a challenge, and he's frustrated. He doesn't know what to do. He doesn't understand it.
Yeah, one of my things, Dr. White, is also to be able to get more in my business is to talk to the men as well. And it's really just having a lot of knowledge, being able to educate yourself as well as to what the woman is going through. I want to be able to provide this for men as well to show them, because I believe that knowing is one thing, but actually seeing it and really getting down to the deep levels of knowing what's actually going on in the body will help them to be more understanding and help them to be more empathetic of the plight their wives or girlfriends are going through. It really takes having that predisposition to say, hey, let's figure out what's going on in the body and let's try to get that help for you so you can feel your amazing self instead of fighting against it and making her feel bad for her for what she's going through, because this is a natural process of both of our lives. For men and women, we're all going to go through this. It's the rite of passage. We're transitioning into midlife, and this is going to affect our body. So having the knowledge, having the awareness, being there, supporting her, and helping her find the help that she needs to help her, I think is will help her tremendously. And being that shoulder to lean on and cry on, even if you don't know what to say, it's okay. You don't need to say anything. Just being there is it's a great help.
Yeah, but before I go into your contact and so on, so that the audience can know where to find you, we talk about accommodation in the organization, right? No, I
Yes,
find that that's very, very important,
yes, it
right?
is. I agree.
Yeah, I want you to talk to organizational leaders, HR practitioners out there
Yes.
as it relates to this thing.
Yes, I thank you so much, Dr. White, because I've been reaching out to HR professionals to let me in and telling them about how important and detrimental it is for them to open a space in their organization to support these women. Bottom line, it's going to affect your productivity. A woman that's not able to concentrate, that feels confused, that hasn't slept, may end up in short-term disability like I did. And there you are, affecting bottom line productivity levels, and you're not going to be running your organization efficiently if you have women that are 40 and above that are going through this and that are afraid or feel ashamed of speaking about it. I encourage you to open a space to speak about it, to support women going through this phase, and to train your managers, to create programs that will train your managers on identifying the symptoms and creating a more work-life balance for them that is an exception to the majority, to help them go through this new phase of their lives. If you value your employees, I believe this should be on your list to provide these type of benefits for them. I really encourage you, and let people like myself into your organization to help educate your employees on that. So this way, it's a holistic approach to addressing this issue that is affects all women around the world.
Yeah, thanks for that. And Canute Exploration and me, Dr. Canute White, support the effort there. I would like to see some sort of a conversation going on within the organization to ensure that women remain coping, yeah, not because it's a natural process. They'll have challenges, but be able to deal with it, cope with it, and that the organization will continue to run because women are very important within the organization,
Absolutely,
right?
Dr. White. They make over 50% of the
Yeah,
workforce, and if the organizations are open to bringing in the experts and the people to help, it would be such a great relief to know that these women are being supported and don't end up in short-term disability and resigning like I did.
yeah,
I
yeah,
was one of those statistics, so
yeah,
we want to prevent that as much as
yeah.
possible.
That's important. And then, what's the contact for you? talk to us. Where can we find you? Where can organizations find you? Right? In the description of this episode, I must say to my audience, my listeners, that Ellen website is there, link is there, and Instagram link. But she's going to tell us more about finding her.
Yes, so you do have my website. You can connect with me through my website, through Instagram as well. I'm also on Facebook and on LinkedIn. Really having my business is on there, just trying to reach out to organizations to bring awareness on the importance to support women. So I'm in all those major platforms, and you can find me there. And I'll be happy to connect with you and continue the conversation.
Yeah, well done, well done. This was Canute Exploration, your topic in a podcast, part two of the voices of challenged women. And Ellen was just one of those voices, representing the voices of women with menopausal challenges. And, we continue the process with part three and four, and possible five, just to celebrate women during the History Month, March is Women History Month, to celebrate women, to bring some awareness of some of the issues, some of the challenges that women are having, and see how best we can break the bias, right, as it
Yes.
relates to this. Thanks for coming, Ellen. And
Thank you for having me, Dr. White. It has been such a pleasure, and I hope that this has been valuable to your audience on what next steps women and men can take towards helping each other out.
thank you. I appreciate it.